This morning. Have you heard the term the default parent? It's a term that's been trending on social media lately, and our next guest keeps her finger on the pulse of what's happening in the world of mothering. That's why she's known as the ultimate mom coach. Deborah Porter joins us live by Zoom this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Andreas. How are you?
Always a pleasure to be with you. So I am doing wonderfully. I hope you are too.
I am. It's a little cloudy and rainy, but it's okay. All is well.
Yes. A little cloudy and rainy, but I know you always brighten our day here at Virginia This Morning.
Aww.
And we're excited to dive into this because I think this is perhaps not a new concept, but the term has gained some popularity, the default parent. So for those who may not have seen it on social media yet, what would you say is a default parent?
The default parent is the parent who does the lion's share of parenting, the day-to-day stuff. They are the one that usually makes breakfast every morning. They're the one that gets lunches ready. They're the one that restocks the diaper bag and makes sure everything that a child needs is in place. They know all the schedules. They do most of the carpooling, the school drop-off. They help with homework. They do bath time, story time. This is the parent that is really doing all the things.
Yeah, that's interesting because, it certainly, especially in the days when I was growing up, it was certainly a lot more common to hear that or to see that happening. But now we've put a word to it. And so we're thinking about that default parent and what it may mean for them and their, health and mental health, if you will, to be responsible for so much on a daily basis.
Right. And here's the thing. The default parent generally also has a job many times, right? Whether that job is outside of the home or the job is inside of the home. And we're not really talking about a 50-50 split here, right? There are a few things in life that can be, kind of cut down the middle that evenly. But really, I just want the default parent, if me even giving the definition of that kind of got your attention, I just want you to ask yourself a few questions. And the first one is, are you comfortable with the division of labor in your home and in your relationship right now? That will just bring some awareness to what's going on. I think many times we just kind of do what we do and we go through the motions and we're exhausted or we're resentful. But let's just slow it down a little bit and just ask yourself, are you comfortable with the way the division of labor in your own home and in your relationship?
You make a great point that sometimes you get into that routine and things just kind of happen because maybe one parent has a certain schedule and the other one is more conducive to, the hours of childcare, for example, or, maybe there's something else going on. But as you started to list at the beginning, all the different things that come with being a default parent, it makes you think about what that means and starting to ask that question or to know when to ask for help is especially important. So you mentioned that first question. What's the second one?
The second one would be, are you discussing who owns a task from beginning to end? And let me give you an example. Trash day, right? So it's one thing to take the trash from inside the house to the trash can outside. But we want the default parent to release this responsibility totally. So that means not only the trash bag being in the trash can outside, but then the trash can being put out for the curb for it to be picked up and then returning that trash can back to the garage or the alleyway or wherever you keep it. So the default parent really has to think about how are they delegating and releasing things that they're doing from beginning to end. And I'm going to add in there without micromanaging. Because for many of us, we want it done our way because our way is the right way. But when you are delegating, that now belongs to someone else to do the way that they see fit. It may be the way you do it. It may not be the way you do it. But the only way you're going to begin to be able to release other tasks and allow people to do it is to literally take your hands off of it.
Well, that's interesting because as you were talking, I was thinking, well, perhaps in some cases you become the default parent because you have a specific way that you like things to be done. And in some cases it's the, well, I'll just do it myself type of thing.
Oh, that's it. And it's kind of like, you know what, by the time I take the time to explain it to you, I could have this done and zipped up and we're good to go. But that does not help in the process of trying to release some things from the default parent and allowing other people to participate and allowing other people to join in with the tasks that need to be done at home. Another question I like to have moms ask themselves, or the default parent, it's not always mom. Let me just say that. Many times it's mom, but it is not always mom. And so the other question that the default parent wants to ask themselves is, am I feeling resentful or angry about the amount of things that I do as compared to the things that I perceive my partner is not doing? Mm-hmm. Because here's the thing, if we allow resentment to fester, this is going to be the time where you see a sock on the floor and you just blow up, because it's really not about the sock at all. So is there some resentment going on? And if so, are you talking? Are you communicating about that?
Yeah, and that's just as important for the person who may realize they're not the default parent. How do you support? How do you communicate? What questions do you need to ask to take some of that load off? But I know it's important, as you would say, for the default parent to let some stuff go.
Absolutely. Let some stuff go. Speak up. Don't be the martyr, right? You don't have to be the one that does it all. And perfection is not going to be able to be achieved in this area or any area. So don't attempt to be the martyr or the one that feels like, well, if I don't do it, it won't be done. Okay, well, so if this one thing doesn't get done, what's the worst that can happen? The idea here is that your mental health, your well-being is much more important than the sink being clean and there being no dishes in it. And then the last thing I would add would be, are you automating? Are you insourcing? Are you outsourcing? What things are being done by your hand that maybe need to get done, but you don't have to be the one doing it? And there are many ways that we can do that. There's many ways to insource and outsource. Businesses do it all the time. We need to start thinking about, how can I do that in my home to serve our family better?
Oh, yes. And I know you've given us many tips on how to automate and how to delegate. And I think that's critical for all of us, especially those who find themselves as a default parent. Thank you so much for enlightening us and giving us some tips. And we certainly appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Let me just add one thing. It's the holidays. The default parent is really on steroids this time of year. Be aware.
Be aware. That's right. Starting with awareness of even what a default parent is and identifying where you may fall in the bunch is a critical place to be. Well, thank you so much, Deborah Porter.
Good to see you. Thank you.
For more information on this topic or the services Deborah Porter provides, just visit the link on our show website by early this afternoon at virginiathismorning.com.